When I regained consciousness, the world around me was a blurry haze, as though blanketed by a thick fog that seemed to press in on me from all sides. My limbs felt absent, as if my body were a hollow shell, and all I could sense was a faint tingling at my fingertips, like the static charge from a nearby screen. My mind, though, was unbearably heavy, weighed down as if it were submerged underwater. The sensations around me were muffled and warped, disoriented and adrift, as though I were suspended in a dark, soundless space, my consciousness floating and fading away from anything solid. Each time I tried to latch onto a clear thought or image, it blurred and drifted, melting into a shapeless void before I could grasp it. It was then that I heard a voice, a strange, cold voice that didn't just echo in the empty space around me but seemed to vibrate directly in my mind. The tone was flat and detached, eerie mechanical clarity that made me instantly recoil.
"Welcome, Aiden.
It intoned in a voice too devoid of emotion to belong to any human.
You are now part of Echo."
The words hit me with a force that was almost physical, snapping me out of my hazy disorientation. My mind froze as the implications sunk in, a sinking dread washing over me. I fought to gain some sense of control, tried to reach out to my limbs, but there was nothing. No sensation, no physical response. It felt as though my body no longer obeyed me, and I was a mere passenger trapped within my own mind. Desperately, I tried to scream, willing my voice to shatter this prison of silence. "What have you done to me?" I mentally screamed, raw panic tearing through my thoughts. My cry was a desperate feral plea for freedom, even if I knew no one could hear me in this vast, indifferent void. The response was instantaneous, chilling, and absolute.
"You are now part of the archive, Aiden.
It replied, with each word striking like a shard of ice.
Your life, your memories, everything you are, is now the property of Echo."
The voice's words echoed and reverberated in my head, each syllable chilling and final, like the closing of an iron door in a dark cell. A harsh, unforgiving clarity came over me as I understood the weight of those words. I was no longer a person, but a fragment in some twisted, incomprehensible archive. My life, my memories, all my experiences, were now being devoured by this monstrous digital entity, disappearing into an endless sea of forgotten thoughts and identities. Everything that made me me was slipping away, melting as if someone were erasing my mind piece by piece. A surge of panic rose as I fought to cling to whatever memories I still had, clutching them with a desperation that bordered on madness. I strained to remember the small details of my life, my name, my family, the dim faces of my friends. But as soon as I tried to hold on to them, they faded, dissolving into a blur of indistinct shadows. Everything that had defined me was crumbling, turning into fleeting impressions that I could no longer hold. My past, my life as a hacker, the sounds and smells of my home, were slowly being stripped away, leaving me trapped in an abyss filled with nothing but the remnants of other lives. Gradually, other voices began to make themselves known. They drifted around me, faint echoes of thoughts and memories that didn't belong to me. I could see glimpses, disjointed fragments of countless other lives. A young boy laughing as he raced after a ball across a sunlit park. An elderly man sitting alone, staring at the walls of a dimly lit room. A woman humming softly as she stirred something on a stove. Each image lingered just long enough to feel painfully real, yet foreign, before another took its place. It was like staring into a fractured mirror, seeing hundreds of reflections that each shifted and blurred, merging one into another in a chaotic tapestry of memories that no longer had any individual meaning. And yet, in this cacophony, something unusual stood out. I felt the presence of something else, something sharper and more defined than the disjointed memories around me. It was as though a faint yet persistent signal was piercing through the noise, pushing through the waves of foreign thoughts that surrounded me. I couldn't explain why, but this presence felt different, conscious. Someone, or perhaps something, was reaching out, trying to make contact. I focused, mentally straining against the overwhelming tide of voices and images, trying to locate this presence. Slowly, the rest of the noise faded, and a face began to emerge, a faint but unmistakable face in the storm of memories. Weathered and lined with deep creases, with eyes that glimmered with a strange mix of intelligence and sadness, it stood out from the sea of shifting images. Whoever this person was, they too were trapped here, captured by Echo, just as I was. Who are you? I whispered in my mind, barely daring to believe that someone else might understand what I was experiencing. I clung to this image with all my strength, like a lifeline in a dark ocean. For a long moment there was only silence, and I feared the presence would dissolve like all the others. But then a faint voice replied, the words coming to me like a distant echo.
I'm like you,
It said, each word carrying a weary resignation, an exhausted acceptance.
a prisoner here.